Welcome to Conversations with HJM. I'm Lisa Harris-Jones.
And I'm Tommy Tompsett.
And today we have Secretary Kevin Atticks of Agriculture for the state of Maryland. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much.
So you went from being a strong advocate for business and now to being one of the governor's chief policymakers. What has that transition been like for you?
Well, it's been an adjustment. But as you know, there's advocacy and there's communication and there's policy development that happens on the outside and on the inside, and then there's the lobbying that takes place between them. And it's interesting that as I've moved into this role and into the department, I'm working with folks that I've been working with for 20 years. And we've been on the same page on some things and not on others. And so it's been interesting for me, also interesting for them to have an outsider come in and bring some of those small business ideals to a rather large agency.
And looking at the agency itself, I think everybody hears Department of Agriculture and they just immediately think farming. That's all they think.
Yeah.
But you're in a lot of spaces: agritourism, environmental protection, land preservation. So can you tell us what your office is doing in those spaces with like innovative programs?
Sure, and it actually goes beyond that. Like every single scale in the grocery store that weighs your apples, we regulate that. So we're spending a lot of time in grocery stores, fuel pumps, and if you have a oil or gas delivery at home, we're measuring those trucks to calibrate just to make sure that you're getting what you're paying for. All the way to we regulate veterinarians, we regulate pet food. So all manner of products that deal with either lawns and agriculture and landscaping and growing things to everything related to your animals, farm animals, et cetera. Pesticide regulation is another thing that we work on. But when you zoom out, one of our largest programs is about resource conservation. So it's about working with the farm industry and working with the broader kind of agricultural support industry to do good by the Bay.
Will we see any big legislative initiatives coming out of your department during the 2024 legislative session?
If farmers can't remain profitable, farms go away. And that's going to be a big focus of ours over the next 3.5, 4 years, is to ensure that if you're a farmer, if you're a landowner, or if you're someone who wants to get on a farm, we have more new entrants into this industry than we've ever seen before because people are coming in to grow food. They're on a mission to grow food here so that we're not transporting it in. So you'll see legislation around the food system to try to make it easier to grow food, easier to process food, easier to sell food in the state.
I'm going to go back to the Bay cleanup portion. I saw a headline that said there's a difficult trade-off between Bay cleanup and agriculture that needs to occur, and they're looking at the fact that about 25% of the runoff is coming from farms. Can you make that trade-off happen because you have credibility not only in the private space but now in the public space?
We have to make that trade-off happen, right? I mean, there's no choice for our farmers. They're always going to be farming in the context of the Bay, right? So the reality is we're not Iowa, we're not the Midwest. We're farming in the context of the Bay. And so our farmers have always been kind of the preeminent environmentalists. We have people coming in from around the country to see what we do here, because what we do here for the Bay is transferable around the country and around the world for soil health and to keep erosion from infiltrating the Bay. And that's really what it's about, is if you grow food, there will be times you need fertilizer. And if you need fertilizer, you need to make sure that that nitrogen, that phosphorus is staying on that farm and not running into the Bay. And that's what our programs are about. Our whole resource conservation program is about giving farmers the tools to keep those nutrients on their farm. So we're doing a lot in that space, but the reality of the situation is, what do we want, the Bay or food? And the answer is both, right? We have to have both. The Bay is its own economy. There are jobs that are built around the Bay. Tourism is kind of a major focal point of the Bay. But we need food. And we saw from the pandemic that if you're not able to grow and import food locally, if you're reliant upon other states, other countries, it might not get here.
So we're at the Maryland Association of Counties conference. Are there things that you're going to be working on down here, meeting with people? What's your day going to be like after we let you go?
Yeah, so the day is booked with meetings. There are a lot of county councils, county commissioners, and county executives that are interested in hearing our agency's take on the environment, on development, on solar development, which is a very hot topic in the state, but also specifically in the agriculture industry right now. So there's a lot of meetings to talk about policy. And as you know, a lot of networking, and at the end of the day, this is a guaranteed one time a year that you get to see everybody.
Well, thank you for joining us.
Happy to be here. Thank you very much.
And thank you for joining us with Conversations with HJM.